Wowza!
Wowza!
Welcome.
Wowza,
to
bowza.
episode 213.
213 it is.
213. That's
In
crazy.
fact.
We're almost at 214, then 215.
Whoa, 214. That's huge.
It's enormous. It's our biggest number yet.
Well, I'm just saying, that's like an important, that's a milestone.
Yeah.
A very important milestone. 214. Jeez.
Yeah, and then 215, and
I can't even fathom that. That's way too far ahead.
Yes, these numbers are beyond my comprehension. But no, it is insane. It is insane. And for this episode, I really felt called to have no topic and just to talk about things that have been on my mind lately, but I've been too busy to settle down and unpack.
How are you feeling, sir? I would like to know how you are feeling lately.
Physically, not that good, but that's just a body pain thing.
I mean,
but
emotionally
pretty good.
Spiritually and
pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
How about you?
Well, that's because I'm here.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
I only ask because you've been so busy that I'm just checking on you. I'm checking on my boy and making sure
it's gonna keep going. But
yes. I wanted to check on you, make sure you're okay, because you've been going. And I know me personally, I'm the type, if I do some 3 days in a row, I'm like, y'all gonna have to give me a week. I'm gonna need some cool down time.
Yeah.
So
no, it has been crazy.
Yeah, I was just wanted to check on you, make sure you're doing all right.
But in this craziness, a lot of incredible things have happened, and I think it's been a while since we've really talked about any sort of stuff outside of some pointed topic, and Skywatches that have happened and just incredible things that I thought were worth sharing on the main show.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll just, I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about contact in the desert, but there were a few key moments that were really important.
Right, because we got a chance to talk a little bit about contact in the desert.
Did we?
Just little tidbits here and there.
Because I know we did. Did we on the main show?
Yeah, wasn't Jenny on?
That was for modalities.
Modalities.
Yeah,
they happened so close together.
Yeah, they were 3 weeks apart or less.
Yeah, that was that. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying, man. It feels like months y'all been going just crazy. But sorry.
I know I talked about it on Full Disclosure, but anyway, This isn't going to be an episode about that. That's just one little thing that is among many things.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so I guess I can just get to that. But it was pretty incredible because
this was the event in California.
Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely insane because they wanted us to do a Skywatch. It was a part of the event schedule, and they were just Sunday night, 9 p.m. They called it an evening under the stars. And it was cool. And obviously you have that element of stress of who's going to be there, how many people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to the time of the event, and it's arranged in such a way where there's a chair for us in the very middle of a huge field with rows of chairs in a circle all the way around us, and I couldn't tell you how far back the rows of chairs went. If you count one chair in a row, it was maybe 8 to 10.
This is not while you're outside, is it?
No, we just showed up and it was all outside.
Okay.
It was a Skywatch.
The Skywatch, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so it ended up being almost 1,000 people. So we're in chairs.
I mean, when 300 or however many it was the last time we did one feels like an unbelievable amount.
Those crowds were tiny.
3 times that much is I might have a panic attack.
Yeah, it was honestly incredible. But the crowds that we have on the beach that have gotten up to 350, I'm telling you, standing beside those crowds, while I was in California, I was even thinking those crowds are small compared to this. Just how many people were there. I wasn't counting. I was just oh my God.
Yeah.
Looking around. My friend NEXT ended up counting, and there was about 750 people that he stopped at, and then it kept going and going and going, and he was like, I'm done counting. So the people that worked the event estimated it was 1,000 people. Just with the number of chairs they set up, and then the chairs being filled, and then people having blankets and just laying in the grass and stuff. So anyway, it was a 2-hour slotted event, and I just have to say that it was pretty crazy because before the event started, I would say 2 hours before, so maybe 7 p.m., the weather starts getting really terrible, borderline hurricane weather.
Before it started.
Yeah, the day of. and all the people that were around us and that we were kind of like talking with and hanging with throughout the weekend that were California locals, they were all like, this is weird. This is not natural.
Oh, for California, yeah.
Yeah, it was like hurricane winds, rain. We're like, are we even going to do the Skywatch?
Yeah.
You know? And, of course, we get up to the event, and it was extremely cloudy. Happens to be wherever we go with a crowd, it's always extremely cloudy. And so we get there, and we're just like, all right, well, there's 1,000 in our heads, you know, like us as a family. We're like, it's a cloudy night, weather's terrible, there's 1,000 people here, you know. And sure enough, like 20 minutes before it starts, or 30, my dad comes up to us in private, just our little group that was, you know, with our family, and he goes, well, I had a vision that at 9:45 there's going to be a triangle orb. We're like, okay. And then we get to starting the event. He's got the microphone, which I think that was our first time really skywatching with a big crowd with a microphone, which has its pros and cons.
You almost have to have a microphone with that many people.
Yeah, and there's speakers all around so everybody can hear. And
wow.
Anyway, so like he's just kind of leading the crowd, you know, let's clear our thoughts. For the first bit, everybody's super quiet and respectful. We're seeing some orbs here and there. Like we probably saw in total, this is just throwing out a number based on the amount of activity I remember. I did not count. I'd say we easily saw at least 20, which for a crowd of 1,000, that's huge.
Oh, big time. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Especially a bunch of people, most of them you've never even met.
Yeah. And
you know, at least the crowds that we have at the beach, we've met every one of them at the booth, and we've kind of gotten like some sort of bond going.
Good
and
point.
Everybody's hanging out all day, even through the weekend.
Yeah.
This was different. It was like there's 1,000 people there. We have no clue who these people are.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Ooh.
It's an event that they paid for.
This is making me nervous.
Yeah, it was like nerve-wracking for sure. It was like, woo, okay. You know, we're really running on faith here. And so just to even see about 20 orbs with those conditions is wild.
And I'd say most people probably never even seen an orb.
Yeah, or anything.
Yeah.
You know, 7 years ago, I would say for a fact most people have never seen anything. Mm-hmm. Now I think it's to the point to where it's becoming so much more common.
Yeah.
That it's available for everybody, you know.
I think a good percentage of them probably had their own sightings at some point, but I'd say a majority probably still hadn't.
Yeah.
Which seeing, 20 orbs for your first time must be a trippy experience.
With a crowd of 1,000 people.
So that you don't know.
Right. So now that you know the conditions, you know like the feelings and the fear that we were having, but also like the boldness to even do it in the first place. It was just a crazy, surreal environment. And so I would say, we saw your typical kinds of orbs, nothing to squawk about, except for the fact that so many people saw them. But right around 25 minutes in, or less, actually. I remember it being 30 minutes. I think it was 9:15, and it started at 9. So 15 minutes in, my dad's standing, and he tells a crowd of 1,000 people, he goes, well, an hour ago, I had a vision that at 9:45, there's a triangle formation going to appear. And we were like, well, people in my crowd looked at me and they're like, that was bold.
Yeah.
And I was like, has to happen now.
Right.
Because if not.
Because if it didn't, that would look pretty silly.
And shortly after that, so leading up to the 9:45 thing, a few things happened that I thought I'm honestly kind of glad that they did happen, because not only was it like a learning point, but it was also kind of interesting, I think, for the crowd to see how we can be treated. But basically there was 2 people there. I'm not going to name names. There was 2 people there in that crowd that were presenters at the conference. Just like we were, a lot of people are there. They have a booth, whatever. These 2 people were presenters at the conference, and they were rudely interfering with our event.
Oh.
One of them snatched the microphone out of Dad's hand and started reading mumbo-jumbo crap off of his chat GPT. Saying stuff like, the Pleiadian starships are here. Like he was trying to channel, but he was reading off chat GPT. He was like, and one of them was I don't remember the words. One of them's a Pleiadian. One of them's a Syrian. One of them's a Virillian. And Dad eventually took the mic back, and he's like, I'm sorry, everybody. It looks like he was reading off AI. We're not really into that stuff. I'm sorry about that. And people afterward were like, how dare he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and this was a presenter
Goodness.
at the conference. This was not some like crazed fan or anything like that. Like this was a person who, you know, like was a part of the conference.
What was his objective? Interrupting the Skywatch to do
Everyone look at me.
Yeah, probably.
No, but could you imagine
Yeah.
could you imagine, you know, you're at a conference and like someone else has a presentation for an hour and a half and they're using their PowerPoints and all that stuff, and then you just run up on stage and you just snatch the mic and you just like start showing other stuff on your PowerPoint. Like that's basically what just happened.
I could never even fathom.
Extremely unprofessional and extremely rude. And
Yeah, for sure.
and despite that, stuff was still happening.
Wow.
But just imagine the panic that I was feeling in that moment when he had the microphone out of my dad's hand and was projecting to 1,000 people saying it's the Cerulean class starships and they have a message of love. Now, ironically, when he was saying a lot of this crap, the craziest orb of the night appeared. Well, one of them. One of them for sure, right? And it had like, it was really weird because it wasn't an orb. It was it was very high in the sky. But it was under the clouds. It was a very bright white light, but it didn't have wings like the things we saw on the beach flapping. It looked more like, if you could imagine, a glowing light in the shape of some sort of vehicle with like V-shaped wings. And it was solid, like it was fixed. But it was like pure white glowing light. And it just appeared and it started flying across the sky. People were freaking out. I had a green laser, or Emily, we were handing the laser back and forth. One of us shined the green laser on it, and it actually like reflected off of it. And it was doing that while he had snatched the mic out of Dad's hand. And naturally, you know, Dad didn't necessarily snatch the mic back because we're all looking at this thing while he's rambling.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like in so much panic that he had taken the mic and he was saying all this bull crap. And then when I saw that thing, immediately I relaxed. I was like, it's okay. You know, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff's still appearing. At the end of the day, the people out there in the audience know he's bull crapping. And then he took the mic. Sorry, everybody. He was reading that off AI, blah, blah, blah. So 9:45 comes around. At this point, we'd see tons of orbs, maybe like a dozen or maybe 20 or whatever. And it was going through, 5 minutes. There's nothing. My dad's guiding the crowd. There was periods of silence. And that just kind of went on. And then we would all see stuff, everybody screaming and cheering and clapping. And then 9:45 comes around and he's like, okay, everybody. A minute goes by. He's still talking on the microphone. The energy of the crowd's raising. People are mumbling. 9:47, a bright orange light appears. And if you zoomed in on it with a camera, it had 3 points of light.
Wow.
Like a triangle. And people were freaking out. They were losing their minds. And
God, that must sound crazy. 1,000 people all like, whoa, like gasping and like making noise all at the same time, seeing that.
Mm-hmm. But 30 minutes before, he said 9:45 something's going to appear.
Right, yeah.
There was people there from Harvard, people from Lockheed Martin, people from, I think maybe NASA, people from Berkeley, people from air traffic controllers, just all kinds of different people that we knew were in the crowd were there. And you were texting us after, and they were like, that was insane.
Guys, we are so excited to tell you about our first brand deal with Stigma Hemp. We are so pumped to be working with them. These people are amazing. We've been working with them for a couple of months now. They have an amazing product. It's a family-owned business, and we really, really believe in the product. Ryan, tell them about some of the products that Stigma got.
Yeah, so they got these delicious THC teas, seltzer waters, gummies. I would personally say they're the best gummies I've ever tasted.
I would too.
In my humble opinion. And that milligram is just that perfect dose to have a good night without all the, the freaky thoughts that gummies usually bring. No, but seriously, it's a great product. Josh is a great guy, the founder of Stigma Hemp, and I really am excited to partner with them, especially knowing that he is personally very interested in UFOs and the UFO space. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, guys, they have CBD, they have THC, they have capsules, they have gummies, they have drinks. They have these awesome CBD and THC drinks that are 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 alcohol. It's just pure either CBD or THC, and it's all in like relatively low doses, so it's manageable. It's a really, really good product. We've tested it ourselves
many times.
It's fantastic. They even have like sleepy time stuff that has melatonin. We really, truly, actually love this product. It's amazing. So we got a little special offer for our listeners.
Yes, we do.
Tell them about it, Ryan.
Go to stigmahemp.com and use code BSS at checkout, and you'll get a nice little 30% bump off your price there. And, get you some tins of gummies and just have a good time with them.
Stigmahemp.com, code BSS. Get that.
So the other person, remember I said there was another person who was working the event that...
Yeah, you said there was 2 people.
Yes, there was 2 people disrupting the crowd. So when the thing appeared at 9:47 and everyone in the crowd was freaking out, it was this big orange light, wasn't blinking like regulation craft. This lady was shouting over the entire crowd that was buzzing with excitement. And everybody could hear her. She was right behind us. And she was shouting, "Sir, sir, sir, that's a plane. That is a regulation craft." And she was just rapid fire, like Karen blasting at
the microphone?
At the alien meet and greet. You know what I mean? No. She didn't have a microphone. She was shouting, "Sir, sir, that is a plane. It is a regulation craft." It clearly wasn't. And Dad...
That big glowing orange triangle in the sky,
well,
that's an airplane.
When you zoomed in with the camera, it had 3 points. But to the naked eye, it looked like a big orange blob of light. You know what I mean?
Still,
but
nothing like an airplane.
Yeah.
Or
it was nothing. It wasn't.
Craft.
Yeah, it wasn't blinking. And Dad was like being shouted over. And he literally said in the microphone, he's basically like, I don't remember it word for word, but he's just said something like, "It's not a plane. Nobody's shining a light on it. If it's a plane, that's a federal offense to shine a green laser at a plane." He was like, "Notice that I told you not to shine a light." And basically he said something like, I mean, it's hard to remember word for word, and there was so much adrenaline, but it was essentially like, "Look, if you want to think it's a plane, that's fine. Don't shine your light at it."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he said, "There's people here with equipment gathering the data. We'll let the data do the talking."
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard from those people, but there were people there from Berkeley University. Alex actually met that guy. He's been in my dad's house. And then there was a guy from Harvard, although I don't think he had any equipment. But they were basically like there doing research.
Did the Berkeley guy bring his equipment?
He did, but I don't have his number and I haven't heard from him.
I have his number.
Well, I think we should get in touch with him to see if we can get that data.
Yeah. I think I talked about him in Bigfoot because that's where I met him.
Yeah, we talked about it on Full Disclosure like a month ago.
Okay.
But I don't know him. I met him briefly at the event. But anyway, Dad was referring to them, the guy from Harvard and the guy from Berkeley. He was like, "There are scientists here gathering the data. We'll let the data do the talking. Instead of shouting over the crowd and casting your judgment, you can sit there and we'll let the data do the talking." And she shut her mouth. And it was just like a G moment. And basically was like, "I'm not fooling anyone. I told you not to shine your light at it.
Yeah.
I'm not convincing you of anything.
Right.
Just stop
Yeah.
inserting your doubt over the crowd."
Showing
it's
that
disrespectful.
Yeah, he's not like being insecure. He's not caring whether you believe it or not. He's not there for the people who aren't believing, the truth of what's happening. He's there for the people who
just facilitate.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm not trying to trick nobody. Like I'm not insecure about. I don't care what you believe. Like
I'm just be quiet and let them experience.
Yeah. I know. Why do you feel the need to so loudly vocalize it? Like if you feel, "Oh, I think that's a plane," why exactly do you want to just like shout loudly, "Sir, it's a plane, it's a plane"? Like what do you gain out of that? What do you gain out of that? It's
selling UFO tours with night vision goggles.
Really? Oh, she was another event person.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. At the alien meet and greet.
God, dude. Always some kind of ulterior motive.
I'm finding Bigfoot. I live with the foots.
Dude, I'm going to stick up for my Bigfoot people, man.
I like Bigfoot people.
All right,
well, I like Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot's cool.
I like the good Bigfoot people.
I'm telling you, dude, one of those guys showed me a photo that's never been released ever, and I don't know why.
Why would it not have been released?
I can't tell you why he told me that.
Do you not remember, or you're just keeping his confidence?
No. He told me it's not released. That I'm telling you what he told me. And then he showed me on his Google Drive a trail cam close-up picture of like a human eye with hair all around it. Like crazy.
Interesting. I believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like pressed about. I don't believe. You know.
I don't know.
I'm open to it.
I don't know how I believe in it. Like, I don't know what it is.
How does it fit in the equation?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like completely natural or supernatural or whatever. But yeah, that Bigfoot Fest changed my little mind, man.
What does the guy on that video say? He's like, if you don't live with the foots, you don't know the foots.
That's right.
Have you seen
I
that?
also believe that.
I'll show you.
I also believe that.
It's great. I can't believe you haven't seen this.
Because he was also explaining to me, he was like, his version of skywatching is sitting out in the woods and listening.
That's cool.
And he's like, if you do this every night, you start to know what's the neighbor's dog, what's the squirrels or the birds or the raccoons or whatever, and then you start to hear the other things. And you're like, okay. And then
That's wholesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, we're going in that direction with this episode, which is kind of part of the reason I wanted to have this episode. So I'm glad you brought that up. But anyway, back to the event, right? So that lady's like, sir, it is a regulation craft. You're not fooling anyone. Just being rude, right? And Dad had the most like G response I've ever witnessed. It was unbelievable. I feel like that was the moment where he just like pulled the sword from the stone. You know what I mean? Like, it was a power up moment for sure. I was laying in bed that night just staring at the ceiling like, oh my God, my dad's a G. I said that out loud because me and Emily and Jenny were in a hotel room. I was like, Dad is a G. I can't believe he did that in front of 1,000 people. Like, I would have choked. I would have been mad. I don't know. Anybody could have rightfully, you know, people get heckled and, you know, obviously comedians are trained for that, but like, that's a tough spot to be in. And he just handled it like, just like a hot knife going through butter. And it was incredibly impressive. And, right before he wrapped the event and was like, basically, love you all, have a good night. Right before that, a huge bright orb appeared. And even that lady was shouting, that one's real, that one's real. like, okay, all right, we won her over, right?
Yeah, that one.
She was like, that is not a plane. like, but loudly and rudely. I'm telling you, that one's real because of the color of the
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Well, she was neutered by Dad, you know, with the comet.
Right,
yeah,
right,
all
yes,
the wind was taken out of her sails.
Yes.
So she was like, that one's not a plane. And it was like she was
voice
all on,
changed.
you know, but it was just a testament to how crazy the sightings were, that even the lady that was loudly
Even
shouting,
the skeptic.
yeah, even by the end, she was like, oh my God, you know. And so obviously, as it goes over the night, the crowd was slowly thinning out. It's an hour-and-a-half event. I would say by the time Dad said, all right, everybody, have a good night, everybody stands up, starts shaking hands, people are cheering, people are like kind of, I mean, I say this loosely, but fellowshipping in the sense that like, all right, event's over, let's hang out again. You know what I mean? Everybody's meeting up, and I would say at that point there was about 500 people there. Like, by the start and the finish, maybe half the crowd trickled out slowly, like just in the quiet, you know? So about 500 people present for this. And right when we all stood up and it was like, okay, show's over, somebody, I can't remember who, because there was about 500 people there, they were like, look, what is that? What is that? And we all turned around. Everybody trained and saw this. And right behind where my dad was speaking, there was these palm trees, and they weren't that tall. They're about like as tall as mine. Just, you know, the palm trees are not very tall. And there was this big, bright, like glowing. It looked like an owl, but it was bigger than a natural owl, and it was glowing bright white with light illuminating off of it. People were like, it's the street light shining on it. Like, no, like it was actually emitting a glow.
Shining on what?
Well, people are just trying to come up with
An owl and illuminating it from the inside? What are we talking about? That's like,
that shit was whiter than Hedwig.
Right,
Like, it
right.
was solid white. It didn't have all the details, because, you know, when you see something natural, it has all these details.
Yes.
It has feathers. It has a beak. You know, like, it has shadow.
Saying it was like shining so brightly.
It didn't have any. Yeah, it was just like a glowing,
like a silhouette.
Yeah, and it was just flapping like this, like just whimsically flapping over the crowd, and everybody was losing their minds. And
20 feet off the ground.
Maybe 30.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
20, 30. Like not very high, like pretty much ground or low tree level. And it was only like 50 yards away, like right behind the crowd. People were losing their minds.
Yeah, naturally.
I think the really cool part was like the next day, which was kind of the day that we all left and went to another town, another state really. We went and hung out with some friends in Oregon, The next day I started seeing YouTube videos pop up about the event, which I was like, this is kind of an interesting experience. You know what I mean? Like videos of people that were there being interviewed by other content creators and, you know, documentary filmmaker James Fox, incredible guy, very nice guy. He was there at the Skywatch. He was talking about his experience, and it was just like, it was insane. It was definitely a defining moment in the sense that, you know, I've talked privately, maybe not as much on the show, but I've talked privately about the idea of like, oh man, Skywatch with a few hundred people, I'm so scared. You know, like I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
But then that night with 1,000 people with the microphone and it just going the way that it did, even with people shouting at us and snatching the mic and heckling us, and it still blew people's minds, was kind of a major let go. Like in my head, I literally was like, I feel like Luffy when he went Gear 5. Like, I can do whatever I want with this. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't care to prove. I'm not nervous over a crowd of 200 people or 300 people like that. I mean, what's bigger than 1,000? You know, 2,000, 3,000. Right. It's the same. It's just a dark sea of a faceless crowd. Like, there's no difference anymore. Like, it was absolutely insane, and it just was like, I don't know, removed a lot of that limitation about this holding me back, you know, the fear of skywatching with the crowd. So then that was basically that in a nutshell, a literal mass sighting with 1,000 people. We had amazing sightings in Oregon, but not necessarily anything that are outside of the usual other than the company that we were with. So I'm going to kind of blow past that. And now I want to get to like the main reason I wanted to, you know, kind of have this conversation. So as you know, Aaron was just here.
Yes. Big shout out to Aaron.
Aaron and Helen. That should be the most
recent
recent
episode.
episode.
Now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
Aaron and Helen,
Yeah.
absolute gems. Immediately, like, some of the coolest people I've ever met. Immediately homies. Like, they are so fucking cool. I love them.
Yep. Very sad to
love them.
take them to the airport.
Oh, my God. Me and Casey left knowing that we wouldn't get to see them again. And Casey was like, are you sad? I was like, yes, I'm very sad. I'm so sad. I don't know when I'll get to see them again. They're so cool.
It'll happen.
We're really they immediately felt like my friends. I was like, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, big shout out to.
It'll definitely happen. We're already talking about them coming back. But anyway, so they were here for 2 weeks, and that was actually a divine accident because they were supposed to fly in, stay for like 2-3 days, kind of get acclimated from jet lag. We were going to drive to Monroe for a 6-day retreat, and then turn around and drive back, and they were going to fly home.
Yeah.
So that obviously didn't work out because
we were gonna record the episodes. What, episodes 2 of them, I think, or whatever. We were gonna record with them, and then literally like the next day or something,
we were gonna leave.
Y'all were gonna leave and go to Monroe.
Yeah.
And then while we were recording,
it gets struck by a lightning bolt.
Monroe got struck by lightning.
So Monroe got struck by a lightning bolt, and unfortunately, they just had to, they had to obviously cancel our program to fix that because there was like smoke damage in one of the buildings that we were going to be staying at. So they had to like scramble to get that fixed, and they were really good about it, you know, refunding us the program and like really overly good about dealing with that. And they made sure nobody was put out or displaced or anything like that. But they turned around and they were like, but you guys can still do it virtually if you want. We'll hold that. And we're like, yeah, we got to do it.
Why not?
They flew in from to America, yeah. and I have to do it just because of other reasons. So it was like, yeah, we'll do it virtually.
No brainer. Yeah.
So we did it here in the studio. So for 6 days, we did an advanced Monroe program, going into really deep focus levels, like all the way up to 27. And for those 6 days, we did that all day, every day. And then every night we went out and skywatched. And that was transformational.
Yeah.
Because if you know anything about skywatching with my dad, which most people don't, you know, they read the book, they see a video, and then we get the thousands of messages. I tried it, it works. But like skywatching with dad is a different experience, you know, because as you know, when you're doing that, he's extremely serious about it.
Oh yeah.
And we talk, we cut up, but at the end of the day, it's like when we have a crowd of people getting together to do this, he's like, cut the football chat, everybody pay attention. You know, we're here to see this, you know, we got to connect our thoughts or whatever. So with Aaron and Helen staying here for, I mean, obviously 2 weeks, but we skywatched about 5 or 6 nights, right? So with them being here, it was like insane. The first night we skywatched was actually when we went to see Superman.
Amazing.
That night.
Amazing.
You know, so that was, they got here basically Wednesday, and then 2 days later we saw Superman. We hadn't started skywatching yet. It was that night that we went out for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't even really trying. We weren't even really looking up, and we still saw about 20 orbs.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say maybe anywhere from 15 to 20. It's hard to tell when you're not counting, but I know there was that one orb that flashed at least 12 times in one spot. That you were seeing some streaks.
Going back and forth and back and forth.
I think 20 is realistic.
Yeah.
Kind of like a high.
And again, like we weren't, a lot of times it's like you got to focus and like put your energy out there and really like cut the chit chat and whatever. We were like fully goofing off, chit chatting, just enjoying each other's company, talking, whatever, and still seeing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So we did that for 5 more nights with just like me and Aaron and Helen and Jenny. Some nights other people will come over. Like one night Tom and Victoria came. One night Jeremy and Jackie were there.
Did Warren ever Skywatch with you guys?
No.
But the point is, for 5 more nights we went out and we skywatched, and it got increasingly more insane with each night. So I kind of wanted to go into that. So we skywatched with you, right? We saw 20 something odd orbs. The next night we go out and it was like so insane. We saw things that I had, like literally something I had never seen. I wonder if I should get into, before I really dive into that, talk a little bit about the meditation.
Yeah, why not? It would provide context.
Because there's context to it.
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Yeah, let me go into that first, because it kind of sets up a little bit of the sky watching and the inclination that I have going forward. But I'll just say, without going into extreme detail, the program was called Guidelines. It was about connecting to your guidance. The idea is that everybody has some level of guidance, whether it could be your dead grandpa, it could be angels, it could be elementals. I mean, it could be anything. Mm-hmm. It could be any sort of disembodied benevolent spirit. It could be your higher self. Literally, it could be your child that, was buried early. I mean, it could be all of them.
Yeah.
It could be 12 or more. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. Nobody knows exactly what their guidance is until they connect to it. And that was a concept that I had a hard time wrapping my brain around. Like the idea, because I've seen things my whole life.
So which part of it did you have difficulty like wrapping your head around?
Well, it's like a new ager thing, like my guides, like, let me talk to my guides. My guide gave me a message. So of course, first exposure, it's like, cringe. Like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, that was my initial reaction years ago. Mm-hmm. What are your guides? Is it freaking Captain Crunch? Like, is it the Keebler elves? Is it Elvis Presley? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was kind of my initial thought to that concept. Wow, you have some set of special guides.
There was that one documentary. What was it called? Mother of God or something, where she was like Robin Williams was one of her. Was what, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Cult of the Mother.
Yeah.
Interesting show.
Robin Williams was one of her guides.
Yeah, just one of them. I think one of them was Prince.
Right? Yeah.
And I wasn't even referring to that. I was just being ridiculous. It's like guides. What is that? I didn't know. So over time, I've come to believe, okay, obviously I believe in the higher self. Obviously I believe that your loved ones are with you. I changed my opinion, and over the years I've come to understand, okay, maybe it's not so crazy. Maybe it's real. Mm-hmm. So there's an entire Monroe program called Guidelines, where you spend literally the entire week doing meditations that are like strictly oriented towards connecting with guidance, with your guide system, whatever that is. And I would say, I don't know, like on a 6-day program, I think it was like the 3rd day, or maybe it was the second half, so maybe it was the 4th day. Actually, it was the 2nd day that I started to see guidance, and it manifests itself in different ways. Like it could look like a symbol, it could look like a turtle, it could look like, anything, a spiral, the pyramids of Giza. Like, it starts to show up to you in symbolism. And over time, I would begin to see it as, just kind of like a generic glowing being. And, maybe there's 3 of them at one point. Maybe at one point it was like both my grandfathers and my brother Teddy, who was never born, and it was like, okay, because it was a exercise where it was like ask 3 questions. So I was like, okay, how many are there? 3. Okay. It's my 2 grandpas that I always see in my dreams and in meditations and just weird feelings, and I get like sensations that they're there, like a chill in my spine or whatever. And then what's really surprised me was I saw my little brother Teddy, who was supposed to be born after me and before Emily, but they miscarried. Like he was just never even born. Devastated my mom and dad back then.
Oh my God.
And anyway, so I saw it as those 3, and I was like, okay. Then the next question that we had to ask in the prompt was like, what's your most important life that you've ever lived, or something like that? Did you ever incarnate here? And if so, what was the most important life? And it was like all 3 of them pointed at me, and it was like you. And I was like, what? But I thought there were supposed to be 3. And it was like, no, you don't get it. That's the point. We're showing you there were 3 of us, but in reality, we're all parts of you. You know what I mean? Like, we're not separate from you. Your grandpa that came here, or your cousin, or your friend, or even Buddha, it's all one thing. We're all parts of one thing.
Yeah.
It's not separate. You just think it's separate down here on Earth life, but at the total reality where everything is one, it's like you're all just kind of coming down here on your own terms that you're agreeing to back before you were separate. It was kind of like that, like flashes of that, like, your grandpa is you. You are a part of your grandpa, And I was like, interesting. And then in the next exercise, it appeared to me as like this shining light. And then I was like, all right, what's the deal? Like, is there any sort of identification to yourself? And it was like, basically like the Archangel Michael. And I was like, okay, makes a lot of sense. I've always had like an attachment to this being internally. My dad has had an experience with a glowing being that presented itself as Michael. Although over the years he said, but I don't know, maybe it was a lady, but it was this huge event in 2019 where this orb was going up and down really fast, and it projected an image of a being, and it flashed that name at him or whatever. So I've always kind of had this fascination. Obviously, I read the Bible as a kid. I believed that this is a real disembodied entity, and it was just kind of presenting to me. And there was these weird things where I would be like, okay, well, show me proof. And then I would feel like something grabbed my leg in the room.
While you were meditating?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually pretty common for Monroe
Really?
stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's all kinds of paranormal shit happens. Yeah. It's like very common. People do lifeline retrieval programs, and as they're like approaching people that have crossed over but they're stuck, they'll oftentimes do the work of trying to take them to the next level, which is Focus 27, which is where we were for 3 days out of this program when I was having these meditations, which is why I'm like was so shook by it when I felt the thing touch me or whatever. But a lot of times when they're doing soul retrievals, they will feel hands grabbing them to like hold on as they're taking them to higher levels. Like all kinds of stuff happens.
Whoa. That is trippy.
Yeah, and I'm getting to that too. Left my body a few times, felt like saw my spirit shoot out of my body like a light. Heard a name flashed at me that was like some ancient Babylonian deity that no one's ever heard of.
What?
Yeah.
Did you look into it later?
Yeah, like right away.
Nothing?
No, it was, I mean, I can get into that. It's kind of a long story.
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
No, I don't mind. It's just, it takes a little bit of setup. Things like, shooting out of my body for a moment, or things like feeling my energy body floating above my physical body, and then it like just like crunched like rubber, and it was like I felt like I was being crunched like rubber, and my physical body felt like it was lying flat on my bed, but it was like inclined with the head up and the legs up, and it's just like all weird shit happened, dude. So I'm saying all this to say that the program was it was very supernatural. It was very weird what was happening as I was laying in the room doing that. And Aaron and Helen were having things too, weird things. We were having similar meditations just like we all did at Creation Station. Now, what was presented to me during that was the sense that, I'm just going to say it, the sense that there is a portal opening between two worlds, and that when this alignment happens, that there's going to be an energetic portal that is going to just, all the beings are just going to, like by the hordes, just be able to come into our world. And that my job in all of this, our job, my family, what we're doing in total is to just do what we can to tell people not to be afraid. Because I've always been like, what is it? Why am I doing this? What is this about? What is this leading to? What's the whole point of any of this? Just telling my story.
What's the alignment thing about? Yeah.
Yeah. What is any of it? You know, why do I even do this? Why do I put myself out there for criticism and for exposure? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like I got a lot of those answers, which is obviously doubly confirmed by going every night and seeing shining beings in my driveway with Aaron and Helen, who even went home to England and saw something, which I'm going to get into that. But anyway, that was the crux of what was explained to me, was that there is a portal opening between the two worlds, and that there are, you know, obviously bad people in power. That's not news to me, but basically what they were telling me is that their whole game is to trap weak minds in fear, that there are weak minds in this world. And I don't mean weak as in like in an insulting way, but they just don't, for whatever reason, have the willpower to believe in things for themselves. And that's true in all of life. A lot of people, you know, they're so hooked to the news because they need to be told what to think. Or they need to be told what to believe. Or, you know, they can't even pick an outfit without somebody saying, oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
Or they don't know, you know, their identity because they have to be told. I'm not trying to insult anyone personally. I'm just saying it is a fact of life that there are people who exist like this. And those are the victims of the programming, of the, you got to be afraid, you know. I think I told you this story. Or no, I told Alex this story on full disclosure. When I was at Contact in the Desert, there was this sweet old lady. Did I tell you this story? She came up to the booth and she was terrified.
Yes.
Bro, that's what I'm talking. I'm not saying, oh, she had a weak mind. I don't mean that. I'm saying in meditation, it was told to me that there are weak minds who collapse with fear. I'm not calling anybody individually a weak mind, but this poor little old lady came up to me. She said, I loved your dad's presentation, but I'm so scared because I just went to so-and-so's presentation and they said that the reptilians are going to come down and, you know, it was some really kooky stuff. I can't remember. I said it on a previous episode. Like the reptilians are going to come down and they're going to invade and they're going to snatch us all. And
she's automatically believed it.
She believed it. And I'm looking at this lady, and she's like in her 70s or 80s. I mean, like frail.
Yeah.
Think about that, you know? And I'm sitting there at this booth. There's hundreds of people in the room, and I'm like calculating, how do I react? And I just told to her, and I was trying to be really subtle, but I was like, I don't think that you should take that too seriously. Because she was asking me, like, what did the lady say? What did the lady say? And I'm like, well, you know, that people are going to say stuff like that.
Right.
To try to make you feel like this. And she was like, oh, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just, yeah, I didn't think about that. And I just felt so sorry for her.
Yeah. She was just like looking for anything comforting to hear.
And there are so many people in life like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's easy for us to just go on and not realize that there are people out there in the world that are being affected by this wacky alien stuff as much as they are. But the point is, that's our only job in all this, is just to not even convince people it's real, but just to convince them not to be afraid. Because as the ball is rolling, you know, the government's ramping up their agenda. We are making moves, and just generally, naturally getting more out there in the world. And I mean, obviously there's this race to the finish line where the government, and I've known this since I was a child, with people in NASA in 2009 saying in 2025, something's going to happen. And then obviously 2026. And, you know, I know for a fact that the government has been racing us to the finish line to, it's like, which one's going to get out there first, the positive or the negative, the hope or the fear. You know what I mean? It's us versus them. And I think it's culminating with the idea of like, there's going to be a complete shift where the veil is so thin, it was presented to me as a portal between the worlds, that the beings are just going to, they're just going to show up in a big way. And I think a lot of people out there would be terrified by that, which is why we've been doing any of this in the first place, which is putting this out there so that people have the material to hear, so that they know not to be in fear. You know? And it was explained to me that, shown the image of the Philosopher's Stone, and it's like your reality is truly created from within, and that there are two frequencies. You could say love and fear, but that's not how it was explained to me. It was heaven and hell. And that there are people in this world who are dialing their attention towards hell and they live a life of suffering and misery and fear because they're focusing their attention on that frequency. And we have to try to remind people, no, focus on heaven, focus on positivity, focus on hope and not on fear, and, you know, just kind of help people shift towards that reality. And that's what the age of Aquarius is, when so many people begin to shift to that new reality that it just makes complete change, you know. And it goes on and on and on. A lot of this stuff that I heard, I don't know if I'm fully ready to say a lot of it, but the point is, every night we were going outside. So it got to the point to where me and Aaron and Helen sat outside for like an hour, and we saw easily 100 orbs. Just bang, 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 bang. Sometimes 6 in the sky. Sometimes, I forgot to say this. We saw the most insane streak that I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know that anybody has. It was this huge bright orb shooting like sparks off of it.
Whoa.
Slowly, I say slowly, it's fast, right? But a streak is like, and it's gone. This thing was moving across the sky, shooting sparks off of it with a tail that was staying behind it across the entire sky. And the orb kept moving and the tail just sat there. And the orb kept going, sparks shooting off of the actual, like the round part of it that was an actual orb. And then it finally got to a point where it was all the way across the sky and the orb disappeared and everything disappeared. And we were like, what the, what the F? It was insane. Like, usually streaks just go.
Yeah, they don't leave a tail.
No. It like it traced.
A glowing tail.
Yeah, it just stayed there. That's not natural.
No.
That's not anything that anyone can explain to me.
Yeah. No, not at all. What time is it?
At the time?
Yeah.
It was about 11:15 p.m.
Wow, man.
Because we had an alarm set, because we were waking up every morning at 8 to do the Monroe program. So we had an alarm set for like 11:30.
Yeah.
No. I'm getting actually the next story mixed with that. I'm not sure what time that was. Probably like 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different night. What I was referring to was the next night. Even crazier. So we go out there. We're all like, oh my God, in the last few days, we've seen 150 orbs. Well, spoiler, by the end of the week, we saw about 400, maybe 450, something like that. 400, anywhere easily in that range. The next night we go out and we easily see 50 orbs in a very short span, something like that. But we were having a very important conversation. I'm not going to disclose all the details because it's things that haven't happened yet, as far as the public knows. But I will just say that someone was asking me a question. How does your dad feel sometimes? Does he feel scared? Does he feel dark energies? And I was just like, nah, he doesn't ever really think about stuff like that. He's not worried wherever he goes. He knows that he's ultimately protected. And boom, right over my bushes in my driveway, this being about this big, about the size of, I don't know if a volleyball is accurate, but it was pretty big for a freaking bug. It was massive. It had the loose shape of a moth. It had a wingspan like this, huge. There's no bug.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the wings were huge.
That's like more like an owl.
Yeah. Like a small owl.
Yeah.
It was like a small owl, but the shape was kind of like a moth, but it was solid white, like Alex's shirt without all the color on it. It was glowing. It actually was more like the color of the moon, like that dim yellow. It was glowing very faintly, like it was translucent, like you could see through it, but it had a really dim glow on it. It wasn't bright like the thing at Contact in the Desert. That thing was like illuminating. You know what I mean? This wasn't illuminating. It was illuminated. They kept being like, was that the street light? Which is behind trees.
Yeah,
down the street.
Obscured.
Yeah. And it appeared over the bushes in my driveway and just fluttered to our faces, literally right at our faces. We're all sitting in gravity chairs. We're looking, and I'm being silent because the second it appeared, I knew what it was. It all happened so fast, and I didn't want to talk and I guess I could say, spoil the way that they would process what they were seeing. I wasn't gonna be like, look at the beam. I did it after.
Sure. Yeah.
Because sometimes when it happens, you're locked onto it, and then you're just thinking like so many thoughts at once. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is appearing right in front of them. Are they seeing this? Do they know what this is? You know what I'm saying? So like all these thoughts are going through my head. It flew at us, took a right turn and started like just kind of fluttering up above my head, kind of like Navi on Zelda. She just flutters. Took a right turn, went up right over my head to where my tree leaves are, which is like maybe 7 feet off the ground, and just vanished. And they were shook. And I turned to him and I was like, that was a being. And they were like, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't speak.
I mean, yeah. How else are you supposed to react to something like that? That's.
Helen
I've never
was
seen
like,
anything like that.
Helen was like, at first I thought it was a moth. And I was like, yeah, right. That was a Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know, a giant magical moth.
Yeah.
Like, that thing fluttered whimsically. That's what I said. And they were freaking.
Moth the size of a volleyball.
Oh, it was huge. And Aaron was like, that wasn't the street light. That wasn't a moth. That wasn't a bat. He was going, I mean, he knew what it was, but he was going through everything that it couldn't have been. And they were just like, oh my God, that was amazing. That was incredible. And it was just like, we were so energized. We were like, oh, wow. Oh my God. Okay, we should probably go to bed. Because that was at 11:15. We had an alarm set for 11:30 to go in and go to bed. Because the next morning we had to meditate, right? We go inside, and then I think it was like midnight. We were just standing in my kitchen, just like amped from energy. We were like, oh my God. And then I finally looked at the clock. I was like, guys, I am so pumped right now, but we need to lay down.
Yeah.
They were just like, woo, just kind of like glided down the hallway. I mean, I'm talking like so high energy. They were so like, oh my God, I can't believe I've seen this. And I think the next night we skipped because you came over and we watched Friendship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
A lot
then
of fun.
I don't even remember what day of the week that was. It doesn't really matter. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the next 2 nights we skywatched. And we did, and then that final night we did with Jeremy and Jackie. Oh yeah, that reminded me of what happened then. Okay, so we saw the movie with you the next night. Then the next night we were sitting out there, tons of streaks. I mean, it was like somebody flipped a switch, and it was like throw everything at them.
They're just
streaks,
pouring out.
Yeah, pouring out like literally like 100 that night. Streaks, flashes. You know, things would be flashing everywhere. Just my favorite. This is one of my very favorite things because I feel like when people see this, they can't deny it. They can try all they want. There's nothing they can do, and it's an orb. Remember the first night after we saw Superman? It was in one spot and it just kept flashing. You know, we saw that like all night. There would be things solo flashing, and then things would streak. We're seeing all this crazy stuff, and then at one point, Aaron and I both saw this. Helen didn't see it because she was looking up in the sky. We both saw. Actually, no. He saw the second one. This happened twice. Another translucent being looked like a ethereal, kind of like a little magic carpet. You know what? Let me back up because I forgot to say that when Helen saw the glowing winged thing, she saw it from an angle that Aaron and I didn't see.
Right. I remember she explained this.
Aaron and I saw it, and it looked like just this massive moth or a small owl, just like a shape of a winged thing.
Sure.
Abstractly.
Yeah.
Aaron said it looked like bad CGI, right?
Right. I remember he said that.
Helen saw it from a different angle, and she saw it, and it had a glowing orb of light around it, almost like it was emitting the shape of the winged thing.
Yeah.
And she also saw legs walking on the ground behind it, as if it was a being projecting this image, which I did not see that. She saw it from a different angle, and I think it presents to everyone differently.
Yeah.
You know? So she saw a glowing orb of light, the little winged thing, and she saw legs, like kind of like the rest of the body was invisible, but there was glowing little legs walking under it. So it's like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Completely different from what y'all saw.
Don't let me forget about the pineal gland.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Now I'm going to get back to where I was in the present. You come the next night, then the next night, right? So we're seeing all these streaks, all these flashes, all this crazy stuff. It was going ham. And I saw this winged, not winged. It was like a magic carpet. It was like a tube of light. And it was like white on the border, but the inside was like all like the color of everything behind it. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it, like a blanket of light, just like a little magic carpet. It just fluttered over my car.
Whoa.
And then I was like, did y'all see that? And they were like, no. And then finally it happened again, but Aaron was like, I see it. He was freaking out. All kinds of stuff, you know, streaks and all this just crazy stuff was popping off. And then, during the day, we're doing these crazy ass meditations.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The next night, Jeremy and Jackie come over. The last night we skywatched. Same thing. All these streaks, all these flashes, all these crazy, sightings. But what was really trippy was, my palm tree in my yard?
Uh-huh.
It's literally right there beside my car.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if you can imagine on this side where we were sitting, literally like 20 feet maybe is the palm tree, right? I mean, it's really close.
Yeah.
I'm not good with feet like that, but it's very close. Like, you know what I mean? And not very high off the ground. And we're all sitting there, and everybody there, Jackie, Helen, Aaron, and me. Jeremy didn't see it. He was looking up. But he heard us all freaking out. We're all sitting there, and there was a bright flash of light in the top of my palm tree.
In the top of the palm tree?
In the top of the palm tree.
Like, did it look like it was coming from inside the leaves?
Yeah.
What?
It was insane. And like, there's not a street light except, down the street. I mean, there is a street light, but it couldn't have done that.
No.
It's impossible. It was literally like, in my palm tree, there was a flash of light. And it was just like, whoa. All right, well, that was the finale. Not yet. The next night, my cousin Warren comes over and my cousin Grayson. And let's just say that when they came, I was like, Warren, tell him your story about when we were kids. Back when I was about 15 and Warren was probably 17. We were staying in my mom and dad's living room back in Grays Creek. And it was about 3 a.m. And basically, I was on the sofa, because you remember there was a wood stove in there.
Oh, yeah,
So a lot of times when it was cold, we would sleep in that room.
Oh,
We would sleep on the couches.
So nice.
Because it was warm in there. So it was just one of those nights. And Warren was on the one that was in the middle of the room across from the stove, and I was on the one under those windows. And as I was laying on the sofa, we were just up talking.
Is this the one where he saw the thing scan?
Yes.
Well, I know that because me and him have talked about, I've seen the same thing in that house.
Right.
And he always freaks out about it because he's like, dude, it can't be a car, because if it was a car, you would hear the cobblestone, you would hear the rocks, you would hear it, and the road's not over there, and you just see the light just scan across the window, but you hear nothing. It was silent, and it's like exactly what I saw there too. Yeah.
So just to reiterate for the audience's sake, because that's exactly what I was talking about, just to very briefly run through, I was laying on that sofa, and a blinding flash of white light slowly scanned through the window behind me and illuminated the entire room. And my cousin was like, "What was that?" So on Saturday, I was like, "Warren, tell Aaron what you saw when you were a kid." I was trying to introduce him, And he told the story, and Aaron and Helen were like, "Whoa." The next morning, Aaron and Helen had to get up and finish packing, and I had to take them to the airport, right? So they turned in early. They turned in about 12. And naturally, we stayed up till like 4. Yeah. Me and Jeremy and Warren, we're hanging out, whatever. I kid you not, 3:16 in the morning, it happened again.
Really?
Yep. Warren about jumped out of his chair. He was like, it literally, the craziest thing, the story that he told that happened when we were kids, it happened that night to him again. Same reaction. He was like, "What was that?" And downstairs in my office, where my computers are, an orb of light hovered at the top of the window and it's just like went across the window, but my back was to it again. And Warren saw it, and he jumped out of his chair. He got up and he ran into the room. He was like, "It's the road over there?" I was like, "Yeah, but that couldn't be the road. That's a tall window. It goes from my floor to my ceiling. It's an abnormal window." And the orb went slowly across the top of the window. I'm telling you, dude, he sprinted over there, and he was like, "That wasn't a car." And I was like, "Warren, it happened again." The same day you just told the story. So talk about irony, right? Now, the thing that I really wanted to convey that's most important is that every single night we went outside, we sat in the chairs, and we just shot the breeze and talked about movies and video games and music and all the silliest little stuff, and had the most mind-blowing experiences. And not once did we say, "All right, everybody, we gotta, everybody pay attention." Now, there was one time when we were like, "Let's all focus our mind on one spot." Tom was like, "Everybody send your thoughts to one spot." And then like 10 minutes later, that long streak that traced the whole sky, that's where it disappeared. It was in that one spot. So we were like, "Wow, that's interesting." But the point is, it was so natural, and it like really pushed me. I kind of had a transformational moment, like, oh my God, dude, just like people don't sit outside enough and listen to the forest and learn the dog's call, and then, you know, pick up on the Bigfoot call, or that's what I was talking about earlier, how it gets back to this. Or like, you know, the best time we had out of that entire 10-day trip was just sitting outside at night and just being in the comfort of the air and just looking up at the stars and just talking about and just hanging out.
Yeah.
And then seeing the most miraculous sightings. You know what I mean? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, you just reminded me. So I attended this past Sunday. I attended my grandfather's 95th birthday.
Nice.
Which is also his 65th anniversary.
Wow.
Got to talking to my cousin, and all of like this side of family's from Fayetteville.
Cool.
And out of all of my cousins on that side, she's like the only one that's into it. And she like pulled me aside and was like, we lived like right behind them. I went to school. She went to school with Junior.
Oh, sweet.
We'll talk names later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah.
She said that they were seeing things too.
And they
just-
lived right behind us?
Mhm.
Well, I'm sure they were.
Right. Yeah. So just crazy.
I bet I know the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
So-
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
want to say a
wild.
name, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
wild.
We'll talk afterward.
Yeah, I'd love to know. But yeah, it was just like the most mind-blowing thing to me was like going out there and just hanging out and not even really trying and just seeing amazing things. And it just kind of, I had a realization in my brain, like I really just want to go and sit out there more and just hang out. And it's also like,
It's nice.
yeah, it is. And for the first 7 years I lived here, anytime we ever wanted to Skywatch, it was like, all right, I'm going to the beach, because at the apartment we would never see anything. So I've been adjusting to this new home, and the sky's amazing. So I think it's just like naturally I've kind of discovered that there can be amazing sightings here or whatever. But it just kind of pushed me to have the thought of like, you know, sharing it with people too. Like, I think people, I want to have an experience. What should I do? What should I do? What do I need to say? Do I need to say a prayer? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to play this government dog whistle? Do I need to do CE5? No, you need to take a chair and you need to go sit outside.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to hang out, and you need to look up at the stars and just be open to something happening. And it's that simple, you know, connecting your thoughts, connecting your heart, being humble, knowing that it's there, but honestly just like having a good time.
Be outside in the heat, get bit by bugs,
Yeah, that,
and get into it.
you know, you could use bug spray, but yeah, no, that was crazy. But then the other thing was, there was somewhere I was going to go with that. Oh yeah,
The pineal
Pineal
gland.
the pineal gland. Yep. So with a mix of those different experiences happening that week, and you know, us kind of seeing it in different ways, the beings, and I've just noticed throughout my life that a lot of people will have sightings and they all report it can look different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like at Riverfest last October,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some people saw it being a certain color, some people saw it as a different
shape.
different shape,
Yeah.
different color. Well, something that kept coming up to me during meditation was like, you know, people that see things have second sight.
Mm-hmm.
That is the sense that you have like a psychic sight that comes from your pineal gland, and that the pineal gland is sort of like an overlay to the spiritual world. So whenever you see any sort of being or the orbs, you know, anything spiritual, a ghost, Bigfoot maybe, anything that's dimensional in nature and not like hardcore material reality, it's your pineal gland is projecting I say this loosely, but it's projecting like a holographic overlay over your basic sight, your physical sight.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Which we do know that
It's
the
like a
pineal
filter.
Yeah, it's a filter. The pineal gland is literally wired to the optic nerves,
Yeah.
and the sunlight you take in, it goes up to the pineal gland and it's producing melatonin and stuff like that. But what was coming to me in meditation was like, depending on how far you go down the spiritual path, you know, open your third eye, whatever, doing the spiritual work, being more humble and just, you know, having that positive vibration, that it's increasing that filter, that overlay.
Mm-hmm.
It's altering what overlay you're able to see with your eyes in the physical world. And it was basically communicated to me that that's a part of the shift. That's why so much more people in the world are going to be able to see things more commonly because we're actually evolving as a race. And the key to evolving to that next point is not just waiting around for physical evolution like we're led to believe, but it's actually consciously evolving too, making choices to be better people, doing more spiritual work. And our pineal glands are being altered so that
as a result
of that. Yeah. And it's happening so rapidly around the world now that, more and more people are gaining that second sight. And,
sort of a morphogenetic resonance kind of thing. The more people that do it, it's a chain reaction. It happens.
And it's not far off if you're into manifestation, what you're talking about as far as evolving consciousness. If you can manifest things in material reality, then you can manifest evolving consciousness as a species.
But also, I know that there is government research that shows that people who have regular sightings of interdimensional beings, obviously we're exhibit A, but people that have regular sightings have increased cortical thickness of the spinal column and enhanced pineal gland function. So like all this pineal gland overlay stuff that I was talking about, I have never heard that before. That came to me in meditation. Never even thought about that in that sense. I always thought maybe out of body experiences, but I never thought about like actually it being involved with seeing things in the physical, which would explain why people who are atheists, negative, closed off and not open-minded, their pineal gland is calcified. Like they literally don't have the muscle to see certain things, which also would make a lot of sense why a lot of people have experiences after trauma, because trauma opens you up to many new possibilities. Because once you hit that rock bottom in life and you've contemplated killing yourself and people around you, you've lost them and things like that. I can't tell you, like, I have people tell me, like, I was about to give up. I had, chronic back pain and I was about to just end it. Or, my husband died and I couldn't take it. People at wit's end. Reaching that state in life alters you, which I think, obviously it has effects on the pineal gland. But there was something else I was going to say, but I think that's basically it in the nutshell. Just, really powerful few weeks. And I would definitely say that something is building on the horizon, that the phenomenon is rapidly ramping up its activity in the world, that I think the veil is thinner than ever, and that all people really need to do is just, open your mind, open your heart, go out there with an open mind, a little bit of a humble attitude, because there's always a bigger fish in the pond, and I think the cosmos is the same way. And, you should approach that with respect, of course. Just go sit outside and throw out a chair and have some friends and look up and, be curious about what you can see. And I think people will be shocked, but
stay curious.
Stay curious. I love you, Craigie. I don't
Beautiful. I
don't think anything else comes to mind. Like, I could go on and on about the meditation stuff, but maybe later.
Beautiful. Love it, man. No, it's been crazy lately, and it's nice to hear about it and talk about it. Maybe the direction that things are heading.
Yeah.
It's cool. It seems like you've had some awakenings, some revelations.
Oh, yeah.
I like this episode.
I
like it too.
I will say that Focus 27 is the place where, I don't know if I said this verbatim yet, but it's the place where, like, if you think of a dimension that, like, when people die, they collectively go there and they kind of gather and they're like, well, where do we go next? It's that place. And that's where we were going. And, I was like low key speaking with beings that presented themselves as angels, visually, and, things touching me. And it was just like very surreal. And one of them presented a name to me that I never heard, and it was Malachiel. And when I heard that word, it was like, for a brief moment, it was like my soul shot out of my body in a flash of light, and then it went back into my body, and I was like, whoa. And then I saw Enoch, Metatron, and then they kind of were explaining to me that throughout time, there have been many people who've come here that, you know, now we have all these stone and bronze statues of them and all these different effigies of these ancient heroes from these mythological stories. They basically presented to me that those people achieved victory over the spirit when they were here, and they finished their last incarnation. They achieved immortality. They basically, you know, didn't need to come back anymore. They passed the class, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they ascended and became a star. And I was like, whoa. And they were like, yeah, the stars, they are ascended souls. They're real living beings, and that they help us. They are people that came here and they've gone to the next level, but they continue to help us, and that we're a part of some star system that is coming here, going through that process. I was like, whoa, you know, this is stuff I don't normally think about, you know? And basically, when I woke up, I immediately started looking into that name. And there's no angel in the Bible with that name, but there's an ancient, I think it was an ancient Syrian deity, not Moloch Baal, not the dark shit, but it's completely spelled differently as Melech Bel, which is also translated as Malachiel, and is associated with Marduk and the, what's the tablets, the Anunnaki shit, the Sumerian tablets. Mm-hmm. And also, over time, it was believed to have eventually become Sol Invictus, which is who they worshipped in Rome, this solar deity. When you look up this deity, it always has like a solar halo, and it's like kind of like this ancient Jesus figure. And even the Romans worshipped him, and then Jesus was brought into the equation, but they like put they put Sol Invictus' birthday on Jesus. So it was really weird, like the kind of the connection that was unfolding, but it was presented to me as such that all of these angels, you know, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, Malachiel, all these other beings, that they were, you know, in some way or another like us, ascending to the next levels of reality through evolution, consciousness evolution, you know, like it's like as above, so below, like it happens on every scale of the cosmic order, but that they had ascended to the next levels. And that's why all over the world we have monuments of them like gods, and we have little texts about them as heroes, you know, but in reality, that now that they're disembodied, they're like coming back and they're helping us, but they're real disembodied entities. And I was just like, I just wanted to connect to my guidance. You know what I mean? So cut to, I was like, I think I need to go sit outside more and Skywatch. And, it's been a crazy few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. That is wild stuff, man.
Yep. That's all I got. I'm out of tea.
Out of tea. All right. That was a Molly reference. You were shouting out Molly there.
Out of tea?
Yeah. The UFO tea, remember?
Oh, I was just being English, like,
oh,
you know, like I've sipped all my tea. I mean, yeah, that too. Shout out Molly, amazing human being, but that's not what I was going with that. I was going more the British English
I like it.
thing there, but
I like it.
Anyway, that's a wrap.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
What up, homies?
If you like the show and want more, check out patreon.com/Bledsoe Said So.
This will get you exclusive weekly bonus shows and access to our Discord community with hundreds of open-minded people just like you.
If you want to represent the show, go to bledsoesaidso.com for merch. We have t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and more.
For all future updates, follow us on Instagram at Bledsoe Said So.
Same time next week.